I'm sorry, this is for the sake of the camera. I've already just said hello to you. So we're going to do the Kings of War and Vanguard seminar now. We're going to start with Kings of War. Matt will kind of tell us what's going on with that. Then we'll move on to Vanguard. And if you've got any questions, just let us know in the comments. Not people in the room. Well, you could let us. I guess you could go on Facebook and comment if you don't want to talk to us. Okay, so I guess let's talk about Clash of Kings actually first.
Okay.
Clash of Kings 2019 has gone live today for pre-order on the website, so it's available now. What are the changes? What's been going on with that?
So Clash of Kings 19 consolidates all the existing published formations, unit changes, etc., etc. So it's all in one book, so you don't have to reference other books. The biggest thing in there is a new way to play the game, which is Siege. So people have been asking for a long, long time. So there's Kings of War Siege in there.
In fact, that's the question that is at every single open day. When are Siege rules coming? So now that'll be no question.
December.
When we do the castle.
Okay.
So December will be your Siege rules. It's not designed for massive epic games across a whole weekend, because that's what everyone aspires to and no one actually ever achieves. So it's designed to be able to play a game of Siege in a normal time space span of a game of Kings of War. So you can set your castle up and the rules are there, so it should play in an hour and a half, 2 hours, and you'll be done. So you can play in the evening, which will be great. Obviously you can then take those rules and expand them and go mental with it. So that's up to you. So yeah, then there's all the usual balance unit changes and balances and stuff like that. A lot of the Vanguard models have now got units in Kings of War. So like in your Basileans, you've got the you have Sisterhood Scouts, Night Stalkers. The two command options are in there. So the Reaper, Soul Drinker, those kind of things. The Bissels can have their Warlock, so they're all in there as well. There are some spells, new legendary spells, which are kind of like living legend spells, so you can take one of them in your army.
There's like teleportation is one of them, isn't it?
There's some mental things in there as well. Yeah. Just for a bit of fun, just from a bit of experimentation, see what sticks. And then there's the usual. The scenarios are tweaked and changed, and this is the scenario set for 2019 tournament.
Is there 12 scenarios now, something like that?
12 in there.
Yeah.
Every year the RC mix and match, so they might drop one or two and add one or two, or change the way that one of them works. So it's just that set's refreshed for this year. And
the reason for doing it in December this year was so it's ready for the tournament season, because I think last year was it Feb or March?
So for tournaments that start like Adepticon and stuff like that, having it out in late January, it's too late to get into tournament packs. So if you pull it this side of Christmas, it gives people a chance to get it. All the changes into their tournament packs are out ready for the new year.
So what else? I think that's everything in Clash.
Yeah, it's 80 pages. There's no fluffing it this time, so it's all rules.
And there's no how to run a tournament.
We took that out and the Siege stuff's gone in.
Yeah. So after Clash of Kings, early next year is Night Stalkers.
Obviously following on from Vanguard. So we've got Night Stalkers. So the usual pattern. So the Mega Army, etc. will come out first, and then some of the individual units out of those will then be available the following month for retail. There's some of them are on display out there. I've got some more coming back in that have just been painted. They should have been back in Friday actually, but they'll probably arrive Monday. And then the last thing to paint is the Terror and some Needle Fangs to come back.
So what will be in that? Be obviously the normal Mega Army and Army. So what will be the new? Some people have seen stuff from Vanguard. So what else is in there?
Fiends. They're not in either the army set. They're in a box on their own. So the 3 Fiends there in the cabinet out there as well. There's a kind of the black arachnid things. So there's Needle Fangs, they're on their own. The Terror is in the Mega Army, but will also be available on its own. The Shadow Hulk, which is a kind of a mutant Cyclops thing which we've got out there, which is based on the Giant conversion of the Giant kit, will be out as well. And then it'll be usual, you'll be able to buy like the Scarecrow sprue as a horde, I think we're doing.
Yeah. And I guess also around the same time there'll be a new book from Wintersar. Is that early next year as well? Yeah.
Yes, I think there's one due then. There's about The short stories came out towards the end of it's just a few months ago, wasn't it? Now?
Actually, we always do this. Who's read the short story collection? One person.
Did anyone not know it existed?
One story out of short stories.
Where are they available from?
So they're available from Amazon or from Wintersard. I think they're digitally from Amazon as well.
Yeah.
So
we'll start to put them up on our website as they start to come produce them. That one was a whole load of authors that they wanted to trial and test, and then the guys that they're happy with and the best style of writing that fits what they want and fits what we want will then start to get commissioned to do novels, trilogies, all sorts of stuff. So we've been speaking to C.L. Lerner, haven't we? Lerner.
Yeah.
Who's Black Library author, to do some work. So he's been commissioned to do some novels, and we've been speaking to some of the other novels we want, and not just necessarily in the current, kind of the contemporary timeline of Kings of War. We're going to start filling in, some of the history as well with stories, novels, flesh out characters and timelines and things like that.
And what else is kind of for early next year for Kings of War wise, I guess?
It's more Vanguard we're focusing on the early half of the year, I think.
Yeah.
So, which we'll get onto.
Yeah.
Get on later on.
Well,
cover the Vanguard stuff.
So I said we'll do questions for both at the end rather than kind of doing Kings of War. Unless you want to do Kings of War questions now and Vanguard questions.
Yeah, we'll do that, shall we?
So Kings of War questions.
Northern Alliance will get a full Kings of War army. I've sketched out what I want for that in terms of the army itself and the models, but it's not in the Clash of Kings 19 book.
Time.
Yes, I have one.
You're still looking at putting that in the book with the Ophidians?
No.
So it's separate now.
Yeah.
Any news on Ophidians at some point?
We're, if anyone saw the Q&A I did at the Vanguard open day, until we've got a model range for something planned that's coming out, I'm not going to do any new army lists or anything, so I'm not going to put an army list out for stuff we don't make models for.
Yeah.
Until we've got a plan to make models for it, then we won't do any new army lists. So things like Draki and Vanguard, they already exist. I'm not going to nerf them because people are using those, etc. But anything new that goes out, like Ophidians, if the Ophidian list comes out, it's because we've planned the model range and they'll come out with it.
I suppose we'll probably see them in Vanguard first.
Vanguard is a great test bed for us for those kind of things, and for new things for existing units as well, which is why there's new units that have appeared in Vanguard which weren't in Kings of War, and they can become in Kings of War once if they prove popular or they're an easy thing to turn into a regiment or something like that. So yeah, but the two systems will feed each other, not just with models but with ideas on the rules and things like that. So as one game evolves, it might then evolve the other one too. Because it all takes place in the same world, so it just ties everything together.
Yep.
Sort of combined question. Is there a plan for a world book like Firefight?
The source book.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of the source book has been written. There's more to it, so there's a lot of the videos only written up to a certain point. There's lots of all the sound campaign stuff that all needs to go into it, all the more recent stuff, and then where we want to take the story after that. So it's a lot of it has been written, but I just need to go back through it and check what got done and then where we want to take the storyline. But yes, we're looking at the source book. Yep.
Even though there's factions that aren't part of Mantic's kind of miniature range, or even maybe not in the future at all, are they going to continue to be part of the Kings of War lore?
Yes.
So they'll still stay within kind of the world and what.
Yeah, apart from your Vanguard when they kill them.
Yeah.
No, yeah, the stuff that's there is canon. It's lore. So I might morph things and change things, and I haven't killed the Brotherhood. The Brotherhood still exists, but they'll look different as going into the future. They obviously took a hit, but I haven't wiped them off the face of the earth. They will morph and change, and they'll look different. So there'll be elements of the old Brotherhood, but there'll be a new Brotherhood as well.
So everything will stay part of the world, even if it's different?
Yes, even if it gets moved into a new place or morphs and becomes part of something else, and two things merge to look to look different, even if they then go their separate ways again. Well, we want to continue to evolve the game and the storyline. We don't want it to say we only ever play games in this time period. We'll continue every year to move the story on and what's happening.
What about Twilight Kin? We'd like to see them again.
Twilight Kin, yes, but again, as a proper full list won't be until we've got the model plan for it. When the Vanguard list comes out, which should be fairly soon, just doing the last edits and things on those extra ones, you'll see that it contains Night Stalker units, because that's very much how I've written the origin of the Twilight Kin. It's very much tied to the Night Stalker creation, which is the two are intrinsically tied together. So it won't be when we do it. It won't be a dark elf army as everyone's expecting. Darker.
Will Basileans get any new army deals with the new men at arms and stuff in due course?
Yes, it's middle of the year, about summertime. I've got that sorted out. So we just finalised the reschedule, some just bits to tidy up in terms of timings the last week or so. But yes, Basileans will get refreshed as a range. Armies, mega armies, etc. in the summer.
Basileans or Brazilians?
Reset that clock!
It's whatever you want to call it. I chop and change as well. So
Is there any information you can give us on version 3? Its development?
We've started thinking about it. So we've got some ideas, obviously. So some of the stuff from Vanguard, we've started looking at, what can we take over, what makes sense to take over and evolve the game. So we've certainly started thinking about what version 3 might look like, but we haven't actually sat down and said, okay, this is how we want version 3 to look in terms of ranges or the game itself or anything like that, or the armies that we want. That work hasn't started yet.
So would you say there'll be a Clash of Kings 2020?
Yes, there will. Yeah, there will be. It's in the release.
Nice try there, Paul.
Yeah,
So what you tried there? Yeah.
Twist that.
So any more? I mean, I guess if you think of any more Kings of War questions, we can come back kind of at the end. But so we're talking about Vanguard now. So obviously Vanguard has just come out a couple of weeks ago. So are you pleased with it?
Yeah, when you write something, well actually I wrote it, that was about 6 months ago, wasn't it? And then I had to remember how to play recently because there's lots of questions on Facebook that I couldn't remember the answers to. Yeah, I mean there's always a slight trepidation as to when you put something out how it's going to be received, but I think it's gone down fairly well. It seems to be everyone who's played the game's been excited for it and really enjoyed it, so yeah, I think it's been successful.
I think we certainly sold the most books at launch that we've ever sold.
Yes, because we've just had to put in order to reprint them. So,
So yeah, it's already got its second reprint. So, and kind of what was the objective, I guess, for Vanguard? I mean, I guess we've covered it briefly in other ones, but what was the idea behind it?
I think it makes, just as Dead Zone is a great jumping off point into the Warpath universe for people who maybe haven't got the time to paint a full army. This was a great entry point into the Kings of War universe. It's a great way of using some of the models you've got left over, or trying a new race. You don't want to commit to that whole army yet. I want to try it and see how it feels from that point of view. But we wanted it to be not just a kind of an add-on to Kings of War. It was certainly going to be the second half of the Kings of War gaming system, if you like. And it fulfills a number of things. Like I said, creating the ability to create new models and try them there first, new ideas. A great way of people getting into gaming something simple into Kings of War and then developing their warband into bigger armies. And a great way of telling stories of those stories in between the bigger battles. And just from a space and time saving point of view, sometimes organising and playing a bigger game is not convenient, but it is to get out a smaller game and play that, and it's faster to paint your warband than it is to paint a whole army as well.
Obviously the core, the first factions just come out, the rulebook's just come out. Kind of what's the next immediate thing on the kind of horizon?
Next one's it'll be the dwarfs. So obviously, a lot of people missed out on that in the Kickstarter, so we're expecting that to be fairly popular. A lot of people regretting not getting those resins. So they're out early next year. Then it's the goblins, which, and if you haven't gone to see Luigi, who's our main sculptor in the front room, he's got at least half the goblin warband there that you can see, and he's been sculpting the skeleton archer for Vanguard as well live today as well, so you can go and see that too, because then the undead are next after goblins.
And kind of what. So one of the things is like new units and things like that. What will be happening with those? Because obviously, I guess we've got those ones. What's happening with the other kind of factions?
So we started with so if you're outside of the 4 that we launched with, everything has kind of 8 basic unit profiles. From next week, we'll be adding 2 more to each of the free ones that are up online. So some of those ones that were missing or that we wanted to add to flesh those out to 10. And then we're just finishing off the edits and the last bits of testing and points and things on the lists that we haven't got up yet, like the Ratkin Brotherhood, things like that. So by the time we finish through that process, so it won't be long, sometime this month now, every Kings of War will be represented in Vanguard, and some of the additional units added to them. And then anything we put up online, Greg will put onto Easy Army straight away as well, so they'll all be in there too.
And will there be similar kind of things like Clash of Kings for Vanguard, I guess, the book, that is?
Yeah, so I'm planning, looking at a supplement book for Vanguard next year, which we've just finalised with the RC on exactly what the contents, but I want an alternate set of campaign exploration tables and stuff. We might pick a particular area of Mantic and say, okay, well this book's going to be focused here, so you know, we'll tweak the campaign rules and do things, and maybe have new unique items, all that kind of stuff for there. Certainly a whole slew of new scenarios and things like that. So I think there's a lot we can do, and a lot more. Maybe have a part of the campaign and actually have some suggestions, or even some specific Kings of War scenarios in the time with the Vanguard ones as well, so you can play it as a whole set. And I think in later Kings of War, Clash of Kings books, you'll see the reverse as well. So you know, it'll be maybe we'll have a campaign book for Kings of War that then has Vanguard scenarios and hooks back the other way. So the two will always go step in step with each other from now onwards. They are part of the same gaming suite.
And talking about campaigns, we're already kind of looking at doing an online campaign. Obviously, we just done the Dead Zone one, which was massive. It was kind of, you know, it was bigger than the Kings of War one the year before. So I think it's that similar kind of thing that because it's a small, you can kind of decide at the beginning of the month, oh well, actually I'm going to start playing in this one, and then by the time you've got your 10 minis painted up. So we're looking at March for that one, and it'll be like quite a relatively short one, about a month long, but that will be, like Matt was saying, that will be set in a particular location, so there will be like a specific campaign table for different things on that. So if we set it in like a dwarf stronghold, for example, then you would find like very dwarf themed items that you could then add to your warband. So
and then we can do rules for fighting underground and all sort, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so there's quite a lot of opportunities in terms of that, you know, to mess around with the campaign tables and the equipment. And even injury tables, I guess you could have fell down a hole and going over by a minecart.
In the book, there's the equipment tables that come with where you can roll randomly on them for what you're finding in the campaign when you're exploring. But it does mention in there that if you've got cards, then you can shuffle those and do randomly. So we are doing equipment cards. There'll be an equipment card deck, which will contain the ones from the book, but plus a whole load of new ones as well. So that'll be early next year as well.
Yeah. So that's Vanguard wise. So any questions about Vanguard? Okay, go on, you first.
Yeah, I love the way that Vanguard leads into Kings of War and Kings of War brings back down to Vanguard. Dungeon Saga, were you producing stat cards for Dungeon Saga for the new Vanguard units?
Possibly. So I've got the Star Saga / Dungeon Saga rules committee. I'm talking with them over the next few weeks as well about a book I want to do with them for next year. So that might very well feature things like Night Stalkers and things like that. So we'll look at the models that we've done for Vanguard and make them what you're up against in the dungeons for Dungeon Saga. So that'd be quite cool. And then in the Vanguard book, one of the other things I want to do is to have, you know, if you come across a Dwarven Hold or something in your exploration table, in the Vanguard book it says, oh, you could play a game of Dungeon Saga. I want to give you guidelines or even rules to say, well, here's how you pick these 4 characters out of your warband, and here's how you give them their Dungeon Saga stats. So you can do that, and if we can, I'll do it for Kings of War as well. So you can take your warband leader and turn it into a hero for your Kings of War game that you're about to play.
Simple question: will there be a middle range game? Because in the Warcraft universe, you have firefights, or in the middle from the massive battle to the skirmish, or does Vanguard sort of fill in that niche as well?
I think so. The standard points value game for Vanguard is 200 points.
Yeah.
Now I imagined, it doesn't spell it out in the book, but I imagined that as people start to play through a campaign, at some point they're probably going to want to escalate, and then maybe start playing 250 point games or something like that. I think there'll be a point where Vanguard you don't want to play anymore because it would just be too much going on. I don't know. We'll have to watch the game settle out and see where that is. So I think Vanguard will do that to a point, but there's no current plans to have any kind of game in between Vanguard and Kings of War. I'm not sure there's a need to.
Will you be having? You're saying about the equipment deck. Will you be having character decks similar to what you get with all the different warbands, but you know actually buy it as a card deck for each of the
So we'll continue to release things like mercenaries. So at the moment, mercenaries we've said are just for campaign games, but I mean obviously tournament organisers are free to say okay you allow 1 mercenary or anything like that. So we'll release. So actually alongside the dwarves, the ones from the Kickstarter are coming out as blister packs with their cards. So the Kuzla, Madfall, and Firebrand will come out, and the Ice Element will be out as a separate one to buy as well. And we'll continue to look at existing models we do that haven't had cards and things yet, and we'll probably start packaging them up with Vanguard cards to come out. I've certainly got a couple of other characters like mercenary types sculpts I'm getting commissioned and done. Yes, so I've got some sculpts from some mercenaries and stuff, some characters. And I did do a load of stat cards on a spreadsheet somewhere for some named characters. I mean, it might be that at some point we get back to those and do some of those too. But there's no specific plans at the minute to do like a character deck or anything like that.
Yeah.
Are there any possibilities for official Vanguard events?
Absolutely. So it was designed to be a tournament game as well as a narrative game, if you like. Just like Kings of War was.
Weight of Fire, yeah. Andy Sharp has done an event for January next year. I think he's already got 26 people signed up, which is fantastic, really. You know, I mean, he put it on as kind of to see how it would go, and it's been really successful. And some people were even signing up before the game had come out. So since the game has come out, it's kind of gone a lot quicker.
Yeah, and he thinks he can have up to 4.
He can potentially have up to 40. So
Rob's playing in it. Martin's playing in it. I'll jump in the car and so I'll be there as well.
Yeah.
So that should be good. But absolutely, and some of the American guys tournaments are even talking about what they used to do with when they ran Warhammer tournaments. They'd do like games of Mordheim and things like that on the Friday night, and then carry those results through to the games for the weekend. They're starting to look at whether they'll think about and talk about doing the same thing now with Vanguard on the Friday night, and then carry those results through to the first games on the Saturday morning. So I expect we'll start to see pure Vanguard and then mixed ones as well.
So sort of thing that I thought was really cool is, and it's from other tournaments as well. It's like if you've got a character, depending on your kind of victories or your loss, they actually kind of level up in different ways during the game, and that's the kind of thing you couldn't really do in Kings of War, but you can definitely do in Vanguard. That they might get vicious or something like that in the next game. So by the end of the day, you've got very different characters to someone else. I think there's those kind of opportunities. I think Vanguard is a really good opportunity for people to get creative about what they do with tournaments rather than just your bog standard kind of. And yeah, we're already thinking about stuff here. Whether we've obviously we will be doing Clash of Kings next year in late September. So whether we do a Vanguard one before that, don't know, possibly.
Vanguard as well. It's because of the tournaments. Because the scenarios are much more narrative. you can build a narrative into your tournament. If you're playing 4 or 5 Vanguard games across the day, you can choose the order of them to tell a story. Whereas the Kings of War ones are more kind of almost like one-off battles, which don't really tell a story across the day. So there's that, there's that to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going back to the Northern Alliance, we've seen rules for different clansmen, like of the different races. Will we see sculpts for any?
Possibly.
Cryptic.
And is it possible, is that in resin one-offs or in a sprue?
It entirely depends on how many we're likely to sell. So if you're going to get volume, if you're going to go big volume, then you want to do it in plastic. Or to justify plastic, you need to sell it in volume. Otherwise, you tend to do the material that something ends up in tends to be because of the amount it's going to sell. So if someone's going to buy 1 hero for their army, then you only do that in resin or metal. You never do that in plastic unless you run your own plastic, like some of the other. So yeah, if we do resin, it's because I guess it's a middling option, and then metal tends to be just for the single character pieces. But yeah, if we think we can do something and there's the volume's going to be there, then that's when we look at plastic. And this is why all your core troops tend to be in plastic, because you're always going to be putting 8 or 10 of those in a box, and then people will also want more of them again. So you can sell thousands of that frame, and then make your cost back from the tooling.
Okay, if that's it. Okay, well, thank you, Matt. There you go. And then Ronnie's is at 3 o'clock.